Can I be director of the set, please? Can we have the director of the set? And the DOP, please. We'll have you both to set, please. And if anyone's in aisle 14, there's a spillage in the domestos section.
And action!
My name is Ranjit S. Mala. I live in Birmingham in the United Kingdom. I'm a filmmaker, director, producer, writer of action, thriller and horror movies, and this is what I do. We are heading over to the location to finalize some stuff for the set and to just kind of map out the area where we're going to be doing certain scenes. So we're about 18 minutes out from location.
We're not going to encounter any bears, are we?
I hope not.
What do you think of the location?
The location's great, man.
Yeah?
Yeah, so I'm getting like 100 messages on the group chats with all the crew and the cast. So
They're ready to get wet and dirty.
yeah. But location's great. I think the weather right now is great. I think everything that the script has, I think the location encapsulates that. So I think we're on to something special, and I look forward to all of us finally being on set and being able to make this incredible story come to life. And Dig Me No Grave is an incredible movie. It's a movie which I'd wanted to do for a very long time in terms of the story, and I was never able to quite find that right story, and unfortunately I just never had the time to sit down and write a story like that myself. And so I came across Dig Me No Grave on a site called Script Revolution, and I saw the script and I immediately fell in love with it, and I was like, my god, this is 100% everything that I wanted to do. This is exactly the type of movie that I wanted to make. It's a limited location movie, it's a limited crew, but it tells a dark, gritty story about two individuals who have conflict with each other, but they're not too sure what the conflict is about, but they butt heads with each other. But the story that Gary had written, Gary Piazza, who is the writer of Dig Me No Grave and also one of our producers, he was very gracious with me, and he'd given me the script to read, and I read it in the first day. He had given it to my partner Sharman Binji, who's also one of the producers on Dig Me No Grave. I'd given it to her, and she'd absolutely loved the script. So me and her, we got together with our other producers, and we pitched the idea to our guys, and everybody instantly fell in love with it. So I got the pitch deck together, I got some of the pre-production together, and we were back to shoot it. And I had meetings with Gary, and from my meeting with Gary to the date of production was literally 2 or 3 months.
Hi, I'm Gary Piazza. I am the writer and one of the producers on the film Dig Me No Grave. I have been behind the camera or behind the keyboard for most of my life. It's not my primary job, but it's something I've always done for the last 30 plus years. How did Dig Me No Grave come about? Well, my uncle is a hunter. He's been hunting his whole life, and his friends have all pretty much given it up and retired from it, and he refuses to do so. He hasn't brought an elk home in about 4 or 5 years, and he just wants that one last kill before he hangs up his rifle. So I told him, one of these days you're going to be out in the woods, you're going to get lost, you might die out there. And he comes back to me and he says, well, then I'll die a happy man. I thought, well, there's a story there. A hunter trapped in the woods, nobody knows where he's at. And that was the whole impetus behind Dig Me No Grave. I crafted a story from that premise and ran with it, and it came out. The ideas and my thought process were just on fire.
And we were set to shoot it, but unfortunately, like a lot of things that happened at the time, COVID-19 happened and it delayed a lot of stuff. So Dig Me No Grave got pushed back almost a year.
We were all ready to go. The ball was rolling, and key players were in place. And then COVID-19 happened, and I was so bummed. It was like 30 years of struggle, and then COVID, and everything was just put on hold. Time passed. I worked on other projects. So did Ranjit. I think he was working on Rupture.
So in between that time, I'd shot another movie, which was Rupture. And then I got to do Dig Me No Grave, which is probably 8 or 9 months later after finishing that movie. Probably less actually. And by far, Dig Me No Grave was probably the most fun I ever had shooting a movie. You know, we had such a great team. We had an incredible cast, incredible location. Gary flew out from the States to be with us here in Birmingham for 3 weeks. Shot all the behind the scenes footage, and it was such an amazing experience. One that I did not have on Rupture, and one that I did not have on Exiled. But there was something so magical about shooting Dig Me No Grave. It was such a family atmosphere. Everybody got on so well. The team gelled incredibly well. When I was casting the actors, I knew exactly who I wanted in the roles. You know, we had Fred Proctor, who's played by the incredible Mark Strange. It's a role that you guys will have never ever seen Mark play before, and he does such a fantastic job with this role, and that's all thanks to Gary for creating such a character that Mark was able to latch on to make his own. So, you know, big props to Mark for being able to take on such a diverse character, something very different from what he usually does.
All right, we're on the set of Dig Me No Grave with Mark Strange, who plays?
I play Fred. Yeah, good old Fred.
What do you bring into the character for Fred?
I'm kind of, well, this is very different for me because normally I play tough guy, I play villains, anything where it requires violence. This is a different kind of violence, but I'm a wimp in this film. Yeah, I'm obviously a stroke victim. I've kind of like, I've got a nasty limp. It's it's a total different character for me to play. So, which is great. I'm loving it, and it's kind of like just a different range and something new for me.
There is a bit of a physical aspect to the role, though.
There is, yeah. Do have a little bit of a fight.
A little bit of a scuffle.
Bit of a scuffle, yeah. No crazy spin kicks or anything like that. Just dirty, downright fighting, you know. So,
wow.
But I love being out here, man. It's fantastic, and it's an honor to be involved. So, yeah. Oh, yeah.
The role of Scott Parker, which is played by my very good friend Warren Hicks. The role of him was supposed to be a 70-year-old man, but I was like, well, the amount of grueling physical things that I'm gonna want this actor to do, I don't think a 70-year-old man is gonna be able to do them. So we got our heads together, the producing team, and was like, look, who can we cast as Scott Parker? And so we settled on a few names, but I was very adamant on having Warren play the role because he's such a diverse actor. He puts 110% into every role that I give him, whether it's a 1-minute role, a 5-minute role, or a full feature film. Warren delivers each and every single time. And with our great makeup artist, Juliana Ratcliffe, she transformed Warren into not a 70-year-old man, but I think a middle-aged man, 50, I think was a more suitable age for Warren to be in, especially because of his physical appearance, you know, his build, and he does an incredible role. And again, it comes down to the brilliant writing that Gary had presented on the pages and the backstory to all these characters.
Hello, I'm Warren, and I'm playing the role of Scott Parker in Dig Me No Grave.
What was it about this role that attracted you to it?
The characterization in the story. He's a very deep character who has got quite a troubled past, and just the trials he goes through the story are something that I thought would be really exciting to do.
The physical aspects of this role are quite daunting. How did you prepare yourself for that?
I didn't. No. I think, to be honest, I was going to be shooting an action film anyway, so I was sort of trying to get quite fit anyway. And then when the scheduling and the situation changed, that it came over to this film, I sort of had a bit of stamina there. It was just about trying to change my physicality and creating the character around all of that. But I'll be honest, I've had a couple of moments on this set where I've gone, oh, that hurt a bit. But yeah, it's been good. It adds to your performance, I think, because it makes it more real, and you've got something to play with, play off, that sort of thing. So.
Hey man.
Hey, looking good.
Say thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Warren, yeah, that young bloke, he doesn't quite look 70 as the Scott character in the book, but we would have had to get Sylvester Stallone, the only person on the planet that could have done the physical stuff that Warren had to do in this movie. I mean, he had to act like he had no legs. He always had to be aware of that fact that he doesn't have legs, that his character doesn't have legs. And so when it got into the physical part of the role, where he had to crawl around on his belly, I mean, he really put in the work. He was dedicated to making sure that the physical aspect of this was met. It was a real challenge, and he knocked it out of the park. He's also very good with memorizing his lines. I had a pretty long monologue section in there, and somebody told me that he had that memorized in like 45 minutes, and he delivered. He just, wow, it's like crazy. So Warren did a great job playing Scott Parker, and I think you're going to enjoy his performance in this film.
When you guys see this movie, Dig Me No Grave, you will see that these roles are going to be iconic for these actors because they did such an incredible job, and not one actor, didn't put all of the effort into these roles. Not one of them did a half-assed job where it wasn't a role for them. They dedicated themselves to these roles, and they did incredibly well. Another good friend of mine, who is Mr. James Jason Bryan. I've worked with this guy for the best part of a decade. He's absolutely fantastic, and I try to cast him in as many things that I do because, and I say this in the most loving way possible, and I hope that it's in the most respectful way possible. I know that James will understand, but he is my Sam Jackson to Tarantino. He is my DiCaprio to Martin Scorsese. He's the actor that, he's like a dream actor to work with. And I've always said to James, if I go places, you're gonna come with me, because James has always been the guy that has never ever questioned me about anything.
So when Ranjit first read the script, he had me in his head as Pat. So I didn't know nothing about the script at the time. But then when Ranjit sent me the script, normally I read the script about 2, 3, 4 times over a period of 2 to 3 weeks, and then I make a decision based on that. So Ranjit said to me, I want you to look at the script and tell me what you think. So I read the script, I fell in love with the script, and I called Ranjit, I think it was about 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and I said to him, this script is fantastic, it's awesome, I want to be in it and I want to be Pat. And so me and Ranjit had the same idea about the same character, and he asked me if there was anything I didn't like about the script. I said no, what's not to like, I love it, let's get on with it. And then one thing led to another, and here we are, I'm Pat Gunther in Dig Me No Grave.
James for me has been one of these guys that I've loved to work with for the last decade or so, and to be able to give him the role of Pat Gunther, it's been incredible to watch him evolve as a character, and to evolve as an actor has been a privilege. you know, with the writing, like I mentioned, the writing that Gary had, you know, allowed these actors to kind of take on and become those people on the screen, those people on the page. I have no words for it, you know. It was magical to watch. There were times as well where I'd completely forgotten that it was James, and he'd literally transformed into Pat Gunther. So, you know, it was magical experience to see it all come to life.
I've heard this rumor that when you two get together, you know, in the film, that you just really don't get along. But in real life, I mean, aren't you like bros?
We are big time bros in real life.
Big time bros?
Very big time bros.
Yeah.
But yes, in the film,
We hate each other.
you could say that there's a slight loathing there.
I mean, after all, you do bathe him, right?
He does.
Yes,
he does.
I do, actually, yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I
Thanks
change
for
his
that, by the way.
clothes, yeah, I wipe his arse, take him to the toilet.
No, he's talking about in the film.
In the film, not in real life.
You might want to delete all that.
My name is Salitria Amanda Gustafsson, but people call me Sally. I'm here to play Dig Me No Grave as Linda. Linda is a woman, have a husband who like to hunt, but he also have best friends that we really close with as well. So this story is quite interesting for me because I never played this kind of movie before. When I read the script in the first time, I feel this movie can be very great. And as I know also this script won many awards as well. So if we can pack this movie well, I believe that we can also make this movie win some award or go to some competition as well. So wish us luck.
One of the aspects of the story in Dig Me No Grave was I wanted the Scott Parker character, the main character, to have a connection in all of this to his father. And his father was a hunter and raised him to be a hunter as well. I wanted the Scott character as a child to be a little bit apprehensive about the whole idea of hunting. Never really latched onto it when he was young, but his father kept taking him out. He kept learning, and over time hunting became part of his life, and he embraced it. But it wasn't an out-of-the-box thing. He wasn't completely sold on it as a kid. So I wanted to kind of capture that, and Carl Wharton did a great job of playing Scott Sr.
My name's Carl Wharton, and I was fortunate enough to be cast in the role of Scott Sr., an intriguing character. Not only that because it was a different accent than I've ever played before, but also he can come across as being, I suppose you could play him as two-dimensional, being just an angry guy. Hopefully how I didn't portray him that way and created him a more rounded character. So yeah, Carl Wharton portraying Scott Sr. I suppose, yes, the scenes I'm in as Scott Sr. with Scott Jr. when he's a boy, so from that I could sort of gain his attitude towards his son, his attitude towards life, and start to build the blocks of his character, but then also going back to the script and I suppose following the life of Scott Jr. and how Scott Jr. was affected by Scott Sr. When he was a boy. You know, Scott Sr., how he treated Scott Jr. when he was a boy. So even though I suppose Scott Sr. wasn't around anymore, you were still giving clues to the personality of Scott Sr.
Writing is a cathartic experience, and then being on the shoot is an emotional experience. It's it's just you guys did a great job, and I'm so happy. And
thank you.
Our first AD was Josh Gwynn, Josh did a good job I was so impressed. I was actually in the hotel with COVID doing conference calls with Josh and Ranjit going over scenes, and so I got to be a part of that process. How many takes, which location were we going to use, and it was just amazing how he put all that stuff together. It was fascinating to watch that process, scene by scene, and then Ranjit working on how many shots it was going to take per scene, and we worked on that for a few hours in the hotel. Well, for me in the hotel room, but those guys remotely as well. So. Yeah, amazing work, and I've seen some of Josh's other work, and he's got a real talent when it comes to breaking scenes down and all that stuff. I spent a lot of time looking at our DOP's equipment, his loadout, his gear, and just kind of salivating. I love that stuff. Dom put a lot of work into this, him and his crew, and I think that he did a great job with the coverage and making sure that the frames, everything was composed perfectly for the performances.
Hi everyone, I'm Dom. I'm the director of photography on Dig Me No Grave. We are here in the woods on our main set.
And what kind of aesthetic are you bringing to this picture, Dom?
Sort of heat and cold. That's kind of what we're going for. So our main guy Pat lives out in the woods. He doesn't have any electricity, so all the lighting is motivated by candles and fires. So we have a lot of really warm, we're taking some warm lamps and then we've added some orange to them as well to make them even warmer. And then we're doing a bit of a thing with this cool moonlight and this cool daylight vibe. There's Warren, our lead actor and producer, and Pat, the manager. So that's sort of the main thing that we're going for. Each frame is, we're trying to have sort of a hot side and a cold side, which I guess you could argue represents,
they're having way too much fun.
The dichotomy of our two actors there. Yeah, the hot side, the spicy nature of them you've just seen, and the cool, calm.
And to think that on set they're rivals.
Oh yeah, they're terrible. Absolutely horrible to work with.
Look out! I don't think we'll need the bike for that.
Yeah, some of the challenges, we had a number of things that were quite hard to navigate on this shoot. First one being, we have a protagonist with no legs for half of the movie, but we have an actor with 2 legs. So a lot of the challenge of shooting this was framing out Warren's legs, but trying to do it in a way which didn't get too far-fetched for the audience, or sort of trying to keep it believable and workable. So we had a certain amount of budget for a number of wide shots when we could take his legs out in post, so we had to sort of choose those quite carefully when we were going to show enough, when we weren't making sure we weren't showing too much or too little. So that again, it was just choosing our shots, trying to figure out a way of working around our limitations, but then trying to do the script justice, and trying to make sure we were still telling the story properly.
Okay, we're on the set of Dig Me No Grave here with 2 beautiful ladies, and on the left we have
Charmaine Binji.
And on the right
we have Kavita Kumari.
What are your roles, ladies?
Script supervisor and one of the producers.
So I'm line producer. I'm actually also our armourer for set, and I am also
our line producer.
A line producer.
You like to multitask, don't you?
So we're here today in Coventry, and we're shooting in our bear scene in the forest, and our location is fabulous.
It's beautiful. It's very beautiful. The scenes look amazing, and we can't wait for you guys to see it. And we have our beautiful writer Gary here in the UK. Yay!
Thanks for having me. So after shooting this picture so far, we're just over halfway, right?
Halfway through, yeah.
So are you interested in hunting at all after this?
I'm a vegetarian. I'm trying to preserve life.
Yeah, I'm vegetarian too, but I'm an armourer, so yes, I have a keen interest in hunting.
You have all
and
these
shooting.
You can do like
you
clay
have all these
hunting.
weapons with you, so yeah.
You can do clay shooting, can't you?
My job is to keep the crew safe.
Right.
to make sure health and safety, risk assessment, everybody is above board and everybody is safe and fed and warm. And yeah, so hopefully all that goes well. We finish our shoot next week, and we get to watch this fabulous outtake.
What's been your favorite part of the shoot so far?
I think the cabin. I think the cabin's scenes look absolutely amazing. I think they've done really well. The art department have done fantastic to dress that. And actually, even the forest that we have access to filming, it's beautiful. You know,
it's almost surreal. It doesn't look real, and in the shots, it doesn't look real.
Yeah.
But we say the cabin's our favourite, but we still yet have the bear scene to do, so that will change.
Yeah.
Well, maybe I'll interview you after the bear scene too.
Yeah. We might be so confused.
We need to take two because this one was really bad.
It was great.
No, it was amazing. Don't listen to her.
99% of the movie was shot outdoors in a cabin in the middle of the woods. It was incredibly cold in January and February. So, you know, it was a tough shoot, but everybody came together, everybody worked their asses off to make this project happen despite the weather conditions. You know, we had times where it was raining, we had times where it was just kind of neutral, but most of the time it was absolutely freezing cold. Every single crew member was in a scarf, everybody was in a full thermal jacket, you know, booted up with thick socks, with woolly hats. You know, it was a difficult shoot, and the story was intended to be that way. I think actually Gary had written the story to be set not only in the winter, but it was set in snow, and but unfortunately here in the UK we don't have that much snow. So, you know, it was a conscious decision to, like, let's kind of change and adapt the circumstances in which we are currently in. And so, you know, we shot just in the cold weather. It was muddy, it was dirty, it was freezing cold, but the crew pulled together.
And we've cut there. Happy with that one, Ron? Wonderful. So I believe that's the scene, and Gary's got an announcement.
And that's a picture wrap for Warren.
That, I'm afraid.
I don't give a fuck.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's just a bit of a bittersweet moment for me because it's honestly been the best movie experience of my life. I've loved working with every single one of you. From the bottom of my heart, you're all amazing, and I wouldn't have been able to do it without you.
Come on, man.
And fucking hell, I thought I might choke up, but yeah.
You got this one.
And it's thanks to this man here, obviously, to start with, who brought me on board. And he brought every single one of you on board with the help of Johnny and everything. And I've loved every minute of playing the character that you wrote. And thank you all for being not just my colleagues, but my friends. And I'll never forget it, and I will always be there for all of you. I love you all.
That's the wrap.
That's the scene. That's the day. That's the film. And that's a full wrap.
Yay!
All against Digby, no Grave. Picture wrap on challenge.
So I'd like to thank my very good friend and brother Ranjit and Charmaine Binji for embracing this story and bringing me on board. Thank you. I'll forever be part of your family, hopefully, and yours mine. And I really appreciate all the effort you put into this. Johnny Chen, our producer, thank you for making this happen. We couldn't do it without you, and it's been an honor
to work with you, and I can't wait to work with you on future projects. All the cast and crew involved, you made my year truly a life-changing experience, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I just I can't say thank you enough. So looking forward to working with many or all of you again someday.
But like I said, if it wasn't for the team that we had, and if it wasn't for the actors gelling well with each other, or the crew gelling well with each other, the shoot would have been 10 times harder than what it already was. But like I said, we had an amazing team around us, and we were able to create something super incredible. I don't know if that's the word, super incredible, but I'm using it now for the first time, and we were able to do that, and hopefully you guys will see it on the screen when the movie's out. You know, you'll definitely get that vibe from the trailer, and when you watch the movie, it's pure anarchy, it's pure chaos, but at the heart of the story is essentially about a guy who just wants to be loved and go out for his last kill. And you know, it's a movie that everybody's gonna see and they're gonna love, because I poured my heart and soul into this movie. So did the cast, so did the crew, and when you guys see it, it's gonna be something that you guys are gonna remember for a long time. I promise you that. And I have to shout out to so many people that helped me make this movie a reality. You know, my fiance Charmin Binji, the producers Johnny Chen, Nick Khan, Warren Hicks, Gary Piazza, Barry Nash, Kavita Kumari, and a thank you to everybody that's helped bring this passion project of mine to life. So hopefully guys, you'll see this movie, you'll enjoy it, you let me know what you think, and I'll see you on the next one.